The idea with the movement snack videos that we've been sharing is that so many of us now find ourselves working from home, and so this has provided the opportunity to develop the habit of inserting small movement breaks throughout the day to help keep the body limber. I've started receiving questions from some of our students regarding what would be an optimal home office setup, and of course, what you're doing during the time that you're actually at work is going to affect your body as well, right? And the more we can do to provide variety in that context, the less you're going to need to do to offset the negative effects of spending lots of time sitting. So I decided to put together a video about that. This is not so much a video about home office setups in the sense of ergonomics, because there's plenty out there. If you just search office ergonomics, you'll find everything that you need to know in terms of the recommendations regarding good posture and so on. Instead, it's a video about spending time sitting on the floor. And so developing this habit of sitting on the floor will probably on its own bring about a bunch of different positions and add some variety into your the resting shapes that you're making with your body, so that you're not always just in that sitting at a chair, rounded spine, closed hip angle posture, right? So the first thing you'll need, and I'm assuming you're working from a laptop, this is going to be hard to do if you're using a desktop computer with an external monitor and all those sorts of things. You might be able to find a setup that works, but I'm just going to assume for this video that you're using a laptop, or maybe you're reading or you're writing. And so you're going to need some sort of object to elevate the laptop. I'm using this box, maybe a couch, the edge of a bed, a low coffee table could work. And also you can just use the laptop on the floor, but that's going to take you more into this rounded forward posture, which so many of us are already spending so much time in. And of course, we can undo some of the effects of spending time in that position by using some of the movement snack videos we have put out, specifically the Move the Spine video, and maybe the opening the shoulders video, and also mobilizing the hips. So check some of those out if you haven't already. Okay, so onto the content of this video. I've got my laptop set up here on this object, and then also some of the positions might be uncomfortable for some people to begin with, and if that's the case for you, then a cushion will be useful as well. Again, different size cushions for different bodies and for different positions, but I'm just using this kind of standard meditation cushion today. And so to begin with, the position I'm already in, a cross-legged position, which could be this, or a kind of half lotus position and an open cross. You have a few options there to play with. And of course, if that's not comfortable, like I said, we can elevate the butt using our cushion. And so you can get to work in this position. And my recommendation would be simply to start spending time on the floor. And the benefit of doing that will be that you'll get uncomfortable, you'll become uncomfortable in this position after a period of time, and your body will send you a signal, I'm uncomfortable, we need to move. The thing with sitting in a chair is that they're designed to be incredibly comfortable and to dampen that signal. So you never get the signal that you're uncomfortable, even though maybe the body is. And then you stand up at the end of the day or after several hours of work and you go, oh my God, I feel terrible, my hips are all locked up, my back feels terrible. Now that I've started moving again, like you've taken that cast off the whole body. And so just by sitting on the floor, your body will start telling you. Your body will start telling you to move. Okay, so this is option number one, a cross-legged position, and of course we would play with crossing the right foot over the right leg over the left and vice versa, so we have some variety there. And you can spend time here. After a while you'll get uncomfortable, and then you might move into a squat. So you can spend some time squatting. When this becomes uncomfortable, or if this is not a comfortable position at all for you, then you can elevate the heels using your cushion. And you can even do a kind of seated squat where you actually sit on your cushion as well and spend some time here. This will alleviate some of that, the mobility requirements to spend time in that seated position. Although ultimately this should be a comfortable position for all of us once we spend enough time here. The next option would be a stab toe kneel. Okay, so this position here, again, you can use the cushion or something similar between the hamstring and the calf to lessen some of the strain, because for many of us this will be quite an intense toe stretch, and that could be too distracting if you're trying to get work done as well. But this is a great way to open up the feet. And of course, fully flex the knee here. The next position you could use would be a regular kneel, and of course I can kneel with the cushion between the legs, sitting on the cushion, or like I said with the previous kneeling version, you can put the cushion actually between the hamstrings and calves to alleviate some of the pressure here if that's not a comfortable or familiar range of motion for you yet. But hopefully it will become that after spending more time here. The next option I will give is a fisherman squat. And so this one we can spend time here with the hip angle closed, or we can open to a 90-degree hip angle. Very basic, one knee is kneeling and one leg is kneeling and one leg is squatting. And we can also do the stab toe fisherman squat as well, where we've got the toes tucked under. So there are two options there. And I would just stay here until you get uncomfortable. Change perhaps to the regular fisherman squat, change to the other side, of course, and then to a fisherman sit, where we're in that exact same position, but sitting on the floor behind this foot instead. And again, this is one where you can use the cushion under the butt to make it a little more comfortable. If it's not already comfortable for you, work away here. The next option is a straddle sit. And here we can introduce variety by working with the legs narrower or wider, a narrower or wider straddle. Sitting here, we're good to go. Of course, you adjust the position of the computer along the way. And again, you can play with the height by using different objects to provide some variety for the neck position. If this is uncomfortable, you elevate the butt. Right? And this will hopefully allow you to get into a more neutral spine position so you're not kind of falling back the whole time. Once this becomes uncomfortable, you could bend the knees into a position like this, a bent leg straddle, or even this sort of a straddle. The child seated position, and here I might use the computer on the floor for a bit more variety. Okay, and then finally, in terms of the seated positions, basically what we're looking to do here is provide variety to the hip in particular, for the hip in particular. And so we've done positions where the legs are apart, so there's a bit more variety there, where the hip's externally rotated, and I'm sorry if I missed the butterfly position. So here the hip is turned out. I'm letting the knees drop down into this externally rotated position, and you can use the cushion or not, whatever's comfortable enough for you to spend some time there. And it might be that you end up spending 5 minutes in each position or a couple of minutes in each position. Obviously, you don't want to be changing positions so often that it's distracting you from your work, right? So you have to figure out what positions work for you and what positions you might want to use when you're not trying to focus on something, and just try to develop those positions as well. So we have the butterfly position and then the four position. So if that's an externally rotated hip position, the four position allows me to internally rotate one of the hips. Okay, so I'm seated here with this foot running along the thigh and the back shin. You can play with this angle here. I can have the shin basically tucked in with the foot tucked under, or I could turn that foot out and open up that knee angle a little bit. But this becomes more difficult to sit comfortably here because the challenge in terms of internal rotation is greater. But there, of course, you could also be using the cushion to give you another option here. So the four position is your last seated option. And then finally, all of those positions, maybe I'm upright or rounded in the spine facing forward. And so just a basic position, which you're probably used to using anyway, can allow you to spend a little bit of time with at least the hip angle is open here and the spine's extended. If you're feeling lots of pressure in your lower back in this position, which is common, then maybe don't spend time in this position, or if it's uncomfortable for the neck, then you might avoid it, or just spend a little bit of time here and then go back to one of the other positions. So to recap, and I might get the order wrong, but that's okay, we have sitting cross-legged, squatting, and then we had our stab toe kneel. You can play with the hip angle, the regular kneel. We did the fisherman squat, and you can play with the position. And then the stab toe fisherman squat, the fisherman sit, which is here or here, a straddle, which is here, or a bent-legged straddle in different positions. And then we looked at the butterfly, seated position, and the full position. That's right. The full position, and then finally just lying down on the stomach. So play around with those positions. Above all, the habit we want to develop is spending time sitting on the floor. Many of these positions will just emerge on their own if you start doing that, again, because you'll be receiving those signals telling you to change position, change position, change position. And hopefully this allows the hip to become, in particular, to become less locked up from all of the sitting that so many of us are doing at the moment. If you find this useful, then please share it around with friends, others who are working from home. Hopefully we can all develop this habit of having more resting positions, more options in terms of how we can get comfortable without a chair and in different positions while at work, while studying, while reading, while eating, while spending time with friends and family and so on. So hopefully you find it useful, and thanks very much for your time.